Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at my number 2 position in my overall portfolio. Most of you probably think it's AMD, and that was the case until a few days ago when we started to see this crazy run up on Tesla. Now Tesla is my number 2 position, and the stock today was up roughly 6.5%. In the past 5 days, the stock is up over 26%. So I just want to share my overall thoughts. Where are we heading? Where do I think we're heading, right? Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but just sharing my overall thoughts on this company. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so just like I mentioned, Tesla is now my number 2 biggest position. Number 1 is NVIDIA. And let me just start off by saying the difference between number 1 and number 2 is so wide, it's not even close. But my top 5 positions make up somewhere around 50 to 60% of my overall portfolio. I'm pretty sure you guys can already guess the first 3, NVIDIA, Tesla, and AMD. Maybe later on throughout this week, I might kind of release the other 2 in my top 5 if you guys are curious. But let's start off with this Tesla episode. So obviously Tesla seeing a huge run up. First thing that really kind of drove the stock price, at least in the past few days, has been the delivery numbers that we just saw. And following that, we did get some nice kind of bullish sentiment from price target analysts. So let's start off with that. So I mean, obviously the big news that pretty much every other YouTube and every other article has been talking about were the quarter 2 numbers that they reported, right? So approximately 411,000 vehicles were produced and roughly 444,000 were delivered. And this is obviously great news for a few things. First, it did beat analyst expectations on both on deliveries, which is great. Obviously is down year over year, but one thing that we were kind of seeing with Tesla, at least in the past few quarters, and this big fear that, hey, look, the EV market was going to be cooling off. We have heard about that, and we didn't know how long this cool off period was lasting. So right now, kind of seeing these numbers be estimates, it kind of gives us a bullish case, or kind of a little bit bullish hope that, hey, look, while there is this short-term pain and maybe the consumer market right now with things like vehicles, it seems like it's not going to be as bad as we previously intended, especially since these numbers are higher than last quarter. When it comes to deliveries, right? Deliveries were about 444,000. And one thing we saw last quarter, which was really weak, was a huge decline in deliveries. So many investors were worried that, hey, like I mentioned, that pain in the EV market. But now we're kind of picking back up. Obviously, Tesla is doing a lot of things like low interest rates in certain models, low interest rates in certain parts of the world. They're also doing plenty of incentives like price drops, which can obviously impact margins in the short term of things. For me, the vehicle industry is pretty great. But you guys know me, I'm more excited about the AI space in general. And these vehicles, the more vehicles there are out there in the road, the more data that can be collected. And that's where I am super bullish, as more more cars are expected to be in the road. We're going to continue to see this huge growth in data, and that data can be used in a lot of different automation solutions, be it their vehicles, obviously their robo-taxi, which we're going to talk about in a bit, but more importantly, their Optimus Prime, right? The overall car is just a big robot. Obviously, there's some differences from here and there, but the amount of data that you're using in the vehicle can somewhat translate to the robotics industry as well. So that's why I'm super excited with more vehicles. And overall, it gives a more of a strength on their data, which helps out with a lot of their future products like robotaxi and their robotics solution as well. So in the upcoming earnings, right, there's usually we already know a lot of the things to be expected. The things that I'm going to be really excited about is, one, first kind of learn more about their AI training capacity. Is this growing at this fast, rapid pace? We are seeing that Tesla is deploying a little bit more both internal and external solutions from their AI chips, being the Dojo or being H100 and so on and so forth. The second thing, I want to see how this growth in data, especially in FSD V12 miles, continues to grow. I personally got a Tesla a few months ago, and I use FSD almost on a daily basis. Every time I'm driving the vehicle, FSD is on. Same for my wife. So we're definitely giving out that data as well for Tesla. So like I mentioned, numbers were great. Obviously, it gives us that bullish case that I mentioned that, hey, look, the EV market might not be as weak as we previously expected, especially as now we're hearing talks that maybe rates are going to be coming down pretty soon. And if that happens, we're most likely going to see an increase in consumer spending. Because obviously right now, if you don't have to buy a vehicle, no one's out there buying a vehicle at 7-8% interest on a new car. Most people are probably waiting off. So with all that that's happening, we did get some recent price target updates. The first one's going to be TD Cowen. They did raise their price target to 180 from 160. Obviously, Tesla is way above that, but I want to kind of show all different price points. We also have one from Canaccord Genuity, which raised their price target to 254 from 222. We have Bank of America analysts increased their price target to 260 from 220, and that came out today on Wednesday, July 3rd. Another one that came out today was Wedbush, would increase their price target to $300 from $275, and they mentioned because of the stronger expected quarter two deliveries. So we do have a lot of bullish sentiments here. The analyst here on Wedbush does have a bullish case for Tesla of expected $400 price target for 2025. And one of the main reasons is they believe this is the most undervalued AI play in the market. And they are very, very excited for that robo-taxi event on August 8th.
Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode.
And to me, August 8th is going to have to carry a lot of weight for investors, right? I think a lot of investors are curious, obviously, for earnings later in July, late July, but more importantly, the August 8th event, where if we're going to learn more about the robo-taxis, we're most likely going to learn more about their AI solutions as well. We might even learn more about the robotics market in general as well. So I think there's a lot of expectations for this August 8th event, and hopefully it's not one of those events where it's more like sell the news type events where once the event happens, we kind of see maybe some pull downs. Obviously, the stock, like I mentioned, up 26% in the past few days. I would expect volatility swings both ways. So while we are seeing some great days, it wouldn't be unheard of to kind of see some bearish days as well. So for me, Tesla right now is definitely not a time to be buying at these levels. I don't know if maybe some of you guys might be selling some of your profits, especially if you were able to pick up like in those 160s, 170s. You're already up a nice amount. I mean, from that low of April, the stock is up roughly 73% in just a few months. So congratulations to those that picked up the bottom. My cost average is closer to 177. We were doing a lot of those videos around this price point where I mentioned that I was buying Tesla. So I'm pretty excited right now with it being my number 2 position. Now, the other thing that Tesla did mention during their earnings or during this release is that they deployed roughly 9.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage. And this is their highest quarterly deployment yet, where I believe if we take a closer look at previous numbers, their previous highs was about 4 gigawatt hours of energy storage. So that's a 2x performance. Obviously, we could see a kind of a 2x based on revenue. Right now, not just the EV market is seeing price reductions. We also know that Tesla is also doing a bit of price reductions in their energy storage market. But energy storage, I do believe, has great opportunities right now as we keep hearing talks of one of the biggest limitations in things like AI and things like data centers and things like even semiconductor manufacturing is power limited due to kind of the grid and kind of just power supply in general. Obviously, almost a 2x in energy storage deployment just from a quarter ago has you wondering, hey, this company has been improving their manufacturing here. Was this more mainly because of a huge backlog that they're working with, or is it just a huge demand that they continue to see forward? So hopefully we get some answers about that during the earnings call later in June. Now, like I mentioned, Tesla Robotaxi unveil on August 8th. That is going to be the big event. For me, I'm going to be excited to learn a lot about the company, but I think prior to the events and post the events, we're going to get a lot of volatility. So if you are a short-term investor, I think it's going to be a wild time. If you are a long-term investor, obviously that volatility is just noise. Now, some final notes here. Pelosi did kind of report her kind of awesome investment account. She did sell out of about 2,500 Tesla when this report came out. Obviously, I don't really follow analysts, government officials, or anybody like that in forms of investments, but I know this is very important to certain investors and viewers, so I just want to bring as much data as possible. So for me, Tesla, definitely not the time to purchase, in my opinion. I believe the market in every industry always gives us buying opportunities. We got that buying opportunities when everybody thought the EV market was going to fail. I think AI is still a big play here for Tesla, but I do believe Tesla in the long term of things, if they execute correctly in robo-taxis, in FSD automation, in their robotics market, in energy and other types of AI solutions, this company can be $1 trillion cap. Now the question is when. That's why for long-term investors, we just kind of look at it, reiterate our thesis and see, hey, look, is it heading in the right direction? And I think right now for Tesla, it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.